Hello, today we'll be going through practice questions 21 to 30 for the ISACA CISA exam. Let's begin. Which of the following is the primary role of the IS auditor in an organization's information classification process? The correct answer is B. Validating that assets are protected according to assigned classification. The primary role of the IS auditor in the information classification process is to verify that controls and protections applied to information assets are appropriate for their assigned classification level. The auditor's responsibility is assessment and validation, not implementation or policy creation. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Securing information assets in accordance with the classification assigned. This is the responsibility of management and system owners, not the auditor. C. Ensuring classification levels assigned with regulatory guidelines. Auditors may review compliance but are not responsible for ensuring alignment. That is management's duty. D. Defining classification levels for information assets within the organization. Defining classification levels is part of management's governance and risk management responsibilities, not the auditor's. Therefore, the correct answer is B. When evaluating whether the expected benefits of a project have been achieved, it is most important for an IS auditor to review. The correct answer is D. The business case. When assessing whether a project's expected benefits have been achieved, the IS auditor should review the business case, since it defines the original objectives, expected benefits, and success criteria used to justify the project. Comparing post-implementation results against the business case allows the auditor to determine whether the project delivered the value that was promised. Why the other options are incorrect? A. The project schedule. The schedule shows timing and delays, not whether the project achieved its intended benefits. B. Quality assurance results. QA focuses on technical quality and defect detection, not the realization of business value. C. Post-implementation issues. These indicate operational or stability concerns, but do not directly measure whether the expected benefits outlined in the business case were achieved. Therefore, the correct answer is D. Which of the following is the most important reason for IS auditors to perform post-implementation reviews for critical IT projects? The correct answer is D. To determine whether the organization's objectives were met as expected. The primary purpose of a post-implementation review is to assess whether the project achieved its intended business and operational objectives, that is, whether it delivered the benefits, functionality, and value originally defined in the business case. This helps management evaluate project success, identify lessons learned, and improve future project governance and control. Why the other options are incorrect? A. To determine whether vendors should be paid for project deliverables. Vendor payments are a contract management issue, not the main goal of a post-implementation audit. B. To provide the audit committee with an assessment of project team performance. Performance assessment of individuals or teams is not the IS auditor's primary responsibility. C. To provide guidance on the financial return on investment of projects. ROI may be reviewed as part of benefit realization, but the key focus is on whether the organization's overall objectives were achieved, not just financial metrics. Therefore, the correct answer is D. Which of the following best indicates that an incident management process is effective? The correct answer is C. Decreased time for incident resolution. An effective incident management process is demonstrated by a reduction in the time required to resolve incidents. Faster resolution means that detection, prioritization, escalation, and remediation procedures are working efficiently, minimizing disruption to business operations and improving service quality. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Decreased number of calls to the help desk. Fewer calls may simply mean users stopped reporting issues or are using workarounds, not necessarily that incidents decreased or the process improved. B. Increased number of incidents reviewed by IT management. This shows stronger oversight, not necessarily effectiveness in managing and resolving incidents. D. Increased number of reported critical incidents. An increase in critical incidents suggests more severe problems, which indicates ineffective prevention or control, not improvement. Therefore, the correct answer is C. Which of the following most effectively minimizes downtime during system conversions? The correct answer is B, parallel run. A parallel run minimizes downtime most effectively because both the old and new systems operate simultaneously for a transition period. Users can continue business operations without interruption while the new system is tested under real conditions. Once the new system is confirmed to be stable and accurate, the old one is retired, ensuring continuity and minimal downtime. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Phased approach. A phased approach introduces the new system in stages, which reduces risk but can still cause partial downtime or data synchronization issues between phases. C. Direct cutover. Also known as a Big Bang, this approach involves switching to the new system all at once, resulting in maximum downtime risk if problems occur. D. Pilot study. A pilot run tests the new system in a limited area or department, which helps identify issues but doesn't minimize downtime organization-wide during the final conversion. Therefore, the correct answer is B. Which of the following would most effectively ensure the integrity of data transmitted over a network? The correct answer is D. Message digest. A message digest is generated using a hashing algorithm and is used to verify data integrity during transmission. When the receiver computes the hash of the received message and compares it to the original, any difference indicates that the data was altered in transit. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Message encryption. Encryption protects confidentiality, not integrity. It ensures unauthorized parties cannot read the data but does not detect if the data was modified. B. Steganography. Steganography hides data within other media. It is used for concealment, not identity verification. C. Certificate authority. A CA issues digital certificates to establish authenticity and trust, not to directly ensure the integrity of transmitted data. Therefore, the correct answer is D. Which of the following would be most useful to an IS auditor assessing the effectiveness of IT resource planning? The correct answer is B. A capacity analysis of IT operations. A capacity analysis evaluates whether current IT resources, such as hardware, software, and personnel, can meet present and future business demands. It helps determine if the organization is effectively planning for scalability, performance, and resource allocation. Therefore, it is the most useful tool for assessing the effectiveness of IT resource planning. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Budget execution status. This shows how funds are being spent but does not indicate whether resources are sufficient or properly planned for future needs. C. A succession plan for key IT personnel. Succession planning relates to human resource continuity, not overall IT resource planning effectiveness. D. A list of new applications to be implemented. This identifies upcoming projects but doesn't assess whether the organization has the capacity or resources to support them effectively. Therefore, the correct answer is B. An IS auditor is evaluating controls for monitoring the regulatory compliance of a third party that provides IT services to the organization. Which of the following should be the auditor's greatest concern? The correct answer is D. The organization has not communicated regulatory requirements to the third party. The greatest concern is when the organization fails to communicate its regulatory and compliance requirements to the third party. If the third party is unaware of the specific obligations it must meet, it cannot ensure compliance on the organization's behalf, potentially leading to legal, financial, and reputational risk for both parties. Why the other options are incorrect? A. A gap analysis against regulatory requirements has not been conducted. This is a compliance monitoring weakness, but is secondary. The third party must first know the requirements before a gap analysis can be meaningful. B. The third party disclosed the policy-related issue of non-compliance. While concerning, this shows that the third party is monitoring and reporting issues, which is actually a sign of transparency and control awareness. C. The organization has not reviewed the third party's policies and procedures. This is a weakness in oversight, but less severe than failing to communicate what must be complied with in the first place. Therefore, the correct answer is D. Which of the following is an audit reviewer's primary role with regard to evidence? The correct answer is D. Ensuring evidence is sufficient to support audit conclusions. The primary role of an audit reviewer is to evaluate whether the evidence collected is adequate, relevant, and reliable enough to support the audit's findings and conclusions. This ensures that the audit's opinion is well-founded and defensible. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Ensuring appropriate statistical sampling methods were used. This is the responsibility of the auditor performing the fieldwork, not the reviewer. B. Ensuring evidence is labeled to show it was obtained from an approved source. Proper labeling and documentation are part of evidence collection, not the reviewer's main responsibility. C. Ensuring unauthorized individuals do not tamper with evidence after it has been captured. This pertains to evidence custody and security, which is handled during the audit process, not by the reviewer. Therefore, the correct answer is D. When an intrusion into an organization's network is detected, which of the following should be done first? The correct answer is B. Identify nodes that have been compromised. When a network intrusion is detected, the first step is to identify which systems or nodes have been compromised. This allows the incident response team to understand the scope and impact of the breach before taking containment or recovery actions. Acting too quickly without proper identification could destroy evidence or disrupt critical operations. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Contact law enforcement. This is done after confirming the intrusion and assessing its extent, not as the initial step. Premature contact may delay containment efforts or complicate internal response. C. Block all compromised network nodes. Blocking or isolating nodes is a containment action, which should occur after identification of the affected systems to avoid unnecessary disruption. D. Notify senior management. Management should be informed once the scope and impact of the intrusion are known so they can make informed decisions, not before technical assessment begins. Therefore, the correct answer is B. We have come to the end of today's video. If you liked the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Goodbye.